Hey, soul survivor. So I have been doing some thinking about borderline personality disorder. Can it be a outcome of narcissistic personality disorder? If you've been in a relationship in your adult life, can that happen? We also sometimes have C-PTSD, comorbidities, but personality disorders can develop in childhood and persist into adulthood, but they can also emerge or be diagnosed for the first time during adolescence, even in adulthood. While personality disorders are thought to have the roots in early childhood experiences and temperament, the full manifestation of these disorders may not become evident until later in life. So during childhood, adolescence, people are still developing their sense of self and identity. Personality disorders typically involve long-standing patterns of thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that are inflexible and maladaptive, causing distress and impairing functioning in different areas of life. So these patterns often become more stable and entrenched as individuals reach adulthood, is what we hope. However, we need to realize that personality disorders can still evolve or change over time. With appropriate treatment and personal growth, people with personality disorders can experience improvements in their symptoms and functioning. Some may even no longer meet the diagnostic criteria. So there is some that do heal, but some individuals may develop personality disorders later in life due to significant life events, trauma, other factors, strokes. These later onset cases are generally less common, but they do occur. So brain injuries, things like that. Ultimately, the onset and development of personality disorders do vary from person to person, not limited to childhood, but can occur during adolescence and even later in adulthood. Comprehensive evaluation is necessary for a qualified mental health professional to let you know exactly what it is. But I wanted to talk about the complex post-traumatic stress and borderline personality disorder because they share overlapping symptoms and experiences, leading to a potential diagnostic confusion. So they are distinct disorders with different diagnostic criteria. C-PTSD is typically associated with chronic or repeated exposure to traumatic events, such as childhood abuse, neglect, prolonged interpersonal trauma, and it can result in a wide range of symptoms, including difficulties with emotional regulation, problems with self-esteem, disturbances in relationships, and a fragmented sense of worth. While C-PTSD can significantly impact an individual's functioning and well-being, it's not classified as a personality disorder, but BPD is. It's a specific personality disorder characterized by patterns of instability in emotions, self-image, and relationships. So individuals with BPD often experience intense fear of abandonment, engage in impulsive and destructive behaviors. They do self-harm often or have eating disorders. They have difficulty regulating their emotions, and they also struggle with a consistent sense of identity. They don't really know who they are. They are spending their time searching. They latch onto people to feel an identity, but it's not their true self because they haven't created it. While there may be some overlap in C-PTSD and BPD, it's necessary to differentiate between the two. They can also meet the diagnostic criteria for BPD on a co-occurring disorder. Traumatic experiences can contribute to the development of BPD, particularly if they occurred during childhood or a profound and long-lasting impact on the individual's development. So it's tricky to know when a personality disorder was created, because sometimes it doesn't always emerge, or things are overlooked, or they're hidden. So the true self or lack thereof isn't understood. So the stress that you go through when you're in a narcissistic relationship, and the reason I bring up C-PTSD and BPD is because narcissists really do kind of gravitate towards borderline. Not always, but that's like their little match made in heaven, that you know, the borderline wants to serve the narcissist and the narcissist wants to take, but then everything kind of goes crazy. But you know, when you go into the relationship, your triggers are going to come out. And a lot of times the borderline, they kind of go into like a spiral. If you think about a spiral, how that vortex gets faster and faster as you go down that little rabbit hole. So the borderline, when they are missing certain information, that it kind of gets that vortex going and they're sucked down into that spiral of emotional dysregulation. And the narcissist loves to leave out information. So are we created into borderline sometimes because you start losing your sense of self? And I see it as a possibility that that can happen, that the longer you are in that kind of relationship, you might start to have an eating disorder, or you might start to self-harm or things like that. And more research needs to be done on this, but a lot of these diagnoses are so similar with just a little twist. Like in the beginning, I was confused on borderline versus narcissistic personality disorder because they seem the same, but one deals with harming themselves and the narcissist deals with harming others. It's just the communication style. Both are in a state of need, and when the communication is off, nobody's getting their needs met. And it's sad how destructive the relationships can get, because you get into that vortex where you can't get out of it. And you know, the narcissist gets into a vortex too when they're triggered. So if they didn't have these little holes and triggers and going down these rabbit holes, the relationship could be stable. Or if people met the needs correctly, but when people try to meet the needs and the needs are misunderstood and they're getting the wrong thing, it's a constant cycle of not seeing eye to eye, not willing to work on things, getting so caught up in that vortex that you can't see the big picture. You can't see the forest through the trees. So comment below on what you think. C-PTSD is definitely an outcome of narcissistic person abuse, but what are your thoughts? I think there's more research that needs to be done on that. Please like and subscribe, share if you think this will help somebody, and I'll see you soon.